Hello, you're listening to the Saluki Gamescast. This is episode 121 for Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. And it is the 26th anniversary of the Dreamcast yesterday. Everyone celebrate!
Yay.
How do you celebrate the Dreamcast? Do you go hang around with Seaman and tell him your problems?
Yes.
It's a game.
I remember. Oh, I assumed. I remember that the Dreamcast existed. Happy birthday.
Yeah, we had a long conversation before coming on air about the Dreamcast that went off in lots of weird directions before we were done. But it's pretty exciting. I always tell people it's one of my favorite consoles of all time was the Sega Dreamcast. Just lots of weird, cool, unique games and everything. And it felt like sort of the end of an era, or at least the beginning of the end of the era, right? Like maybe the PlayStation 2 was really kind of the end of that era of games. As we moved into HD, games became expensive and really difficult and took a long time to develop. And so you stopped getting these little one-off, weird, bizarre vanity projects to some degree, except in the indie space. So I guess we get that. Just not from big publishers as much anymore. Well, my name is Justin Young, and joining me as always are Christina Ivey and Mario Sanders. How have the two of you been? We've been off for a couple of weeks.
So I say busy, and this just might be, unfortunately, this semester. But yeah, it'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm good. Tomorrow is the meeting for my prelims, so October will be, assuming it goes well, October will be a busy month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. Have you done anything exciting?
I guess I'll talk about it in the games that I've been playing, but not really other than that.
Went to some drag shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Drag performers, not like drag racing.
Oh, no.
Do drag performers race drag?
Not normally, but I'm sure they speed a lot.
Sounds like there's a space there.
Yeah. Oh, it's because I grew up going to drag shows, not drag performance shows.
Drag races?
Drag races.
Okay.
Yes. And so it was a funny moment inside me of going, some dude, and so, but yeah, I used to want to race and stuff. And then was no, yeah.
Wait, now you could as a drag performer who drag races while listening to Dragula.
Right. And who would not want to see a drag nun burn some rubber? You know what I'm saying?
I feel like there's a crossover there with the Flying Nun or something. That could be your name.
I was gonna say that's the name of the car.
Yeah, the Flying Nun.
And the whatever the word is escaping me, but the little thing on the back.
Parachute?
Yeah, well, not parachute, but the fin thing could look like her hat.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it would be.
I thought you were going to say the parachute that comes out would be her habit, right?
No, her habit. No.
See, you said burn rubber.
Yeah.
I was thinking anti, what's the word I'm thinking of? Anti-birth control.
Yeah, I was going to say
but
anti-abstinence.
a different type of burning rubber.
Like a condom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A nun burning rubber.
That's what the parachute is.
Yeah, exactly.
A giant rubber? Yeah, there you go. Well, we're starting this on a very academic, intellectual.
Thank you so
games,
much.
Video games.
Nothing says video games like nuns with giant rubbers flowing behind them.
I don't know what kind of games y'all play, but honestly, it does sound like a game I would play.
We didn't say it was a game you wouldn't play. We're just saying it's probably not a game that exists yet.
Yet is the key word in that
Maybe in Japan. It's difficult to always know.
Honestly, yeah. Well.
Yeah, so we've been off for, just 1 week. Last week we were off, but we are back. And so we have a lot to talk about. So why don't we go ahead and jump straight into what we've been playing. Christina, what have you been playing?
Yeah, so a couple of things. Well, I've been watching a lot of DVD because they just put out a
Dead by Daylight.
Thank you.
DVDs.
Yeah, DVDs. No, Dead by Daylight. Because they just had a PTB or a player test build.
You've got to stop with the acronyms. Like nobody listening to this podcast has any clue what you're talking about. The ACP with the DLR.
That's why I had to find it right after. Okay. No, the player test build, which is essentially where they release the content early, let folks play around with it, and then
bug test essentially.
Exactly. Yeah. So they did this with the new killer. And she's like the most terrifying one that I've seen in a while.
This is an original?
Yes.
Okay.
Her name is the Krasu. And she's basically, it's based off like a Taiwanese, or maybe it's Thailand. Oh, one of those two, myth. And essentially she is she looks like a normal woman. And then all of a sudden, you go into the second mode, and her head lifts from her body, and all of her entrails burst out of her body, and she will chase you like that. So, like, almost flying spaghetti monster looking, but, like, with a terrifying head, right? And
sounds very Silent Hill.
Yes. And when she can, like, grab onto you and just, like, hold you until her body catches up and can smack you, right? And, like, it introduced a new mechanic to the game where, like, in order to do this, in order for her to be able to grab you, she has to, like, infect you with something. And so if you're infected, you have to look around on the ground for these magical little mushrooms to eat. But she's kind of...
Very Mario.
Yeah, right? I was like, oh, look, they're also celebrating Mario's birthday, right? But yeah, it's super terrifying. And then the new survivor, she's just really cool. Her name is like V Bunyasak or something like that. And she's like a drummer in a band. And so like her little animated thing when you're getting ready is like twirling her, the drumsticks. And I want to say that they're both linked with music because I think the killer is like an opera singer or something. But I don't know. It's fascinating. It's really cool. I do play on computer, but since I don't play killer, I'm excited to get past the player test build so that I can play her. But yeah.
That sounds interesting and like really well timed due to K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And they already have a K-pop killer who is an original killer. They call him the Trickster.
Of course they do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the thing about him is he like when he kills somebody, he records their screams, and that's what goes into his music. And so it's right.
Okay.
And so
that's good,
right? So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
That sounds like a movie that Denzel Washington would have starred in the 90s.
Yep. Yeah, he's like the detective trying to figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's I really like that. And then another game I've been kind of watching, I've been watching more so than playing the past couple of weeks because I've been so busy, is I think we've talked about it before, but I didn't remember. Have either one of you talked about Drop Pockets? So it's like, we talked about how Balatro started the whole how many like gambling games can we make roguelike basically. And Drop Pockets is one for
That's the pool one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so like instead of jokers, you can get like special what are the things that you put the balls in at the beginning to set them? The rack. Thank you. You can get special racks that like give you extra balls, or you can modify the different holes, or get different cues, stuff like that. It's good. It looks like a lot of fun. Like I'm like, this is one I'll download and try.
So are you shooting pool?
Yes.
But like you're getting at the beginning, you're modifying the balls by like what racks you use?
I believe you can modify the balls themselves as well. And so like the balls have different categories. So like a number of them are like different kinds of sports balls. And so you could get like sports bonuses.
Yeah. Like one of the pull cues is a bat. And if you use the bat as your pull cue, your sports balls get extra money.
So if you have like a baseball as one of your balls
Yes.
and you use the baseball bat
Yep.
to shoot it into.
Yep. And they have like food balls and they're different sizes. So you can get like watermelons that are, of course, huge. And then they have like strawberries and grapes that are real tiny.
Okay.
And the hot dog is the pull cue for that.
Makes sense.
Yep. So, yeah, and like essentially, so you start.
Do you get a meatball?
I think a meatball may actually be one of them. Yeah.
I mean, balls in the name.
Exactly. It writes itself. If they
Right.
don't have one, they need one.
Maybe that's too low hanging a fruit from their
fruit.
perspective.
Like, possibly.
I mean, it's not really a pun because a meatball's not fruit.
My favorite fruit, the
No,
meatball.
but we're listening.
It's like a Homer Simpson line.
No, we're talking about food
Oh,
though.
yes. Lisa, I could be a vegetarian thanks to meatballs.
Okay, that's gonna be the title. Meatball is my favorite fruit. But yeah, so you start playing and it like gives you kind of time to practice. And then once you reach a certain level, the pull shark comes in, which is different. It's like different bosses, kind of like on Balatro, whatever the last.
The boss blind.
Yes, the boss blind, and different pull sharks have, like, one of them is a moose that is a captain of like a cruise ship, it looks like, or like some big ship, and his thing is like after you shoot each time, the balls will roll one direction, kind of like you're on a boat, right?
Okay.
And so it rolls back and forth, which makes like trying to set up shots really difficult.
Is one of the pool sharks a literal shark?
Probably.
Probably, yeah. I haven't seen them. I haven't seen the shark, but
What? Meatballs, sharks.
Listen.
These seem like obvious.
you said low hanging fruit though, and maybe they were trying to be like, you know what?
Sharks, low hanging fruit. My favorite
My
fruit.
favorite fruit.
Is a shark. Yeah, I didn't watch very much of it, but I have seen a little bit, and I know one of the boss blinds like changed the like
Yeah.
felt on the table, so it was
typically
like
do.
a plush.
Yes.
So like it changed the
Or like shag carpeting. or
yeah.
something,
So like
yeah.
changed like I don't know the drag on the ball or the
Yes.
friction, so
Yeah.
it rolled differently.
That's
and
one of them. One of them, I forget her name, but it sets up little like bear traps all over
Oh,
it.
yeah.
So like when you if a ball is in a bear trap and you hit that, it'll let it go and it can go off. But if you hit a bear trap with nothing in it, it'll capture it. And so it makes things a bit difficult. Some of the balls are made of glass. So like those, obviously they can shatter, but also they like physics wise are a bit different. And so, yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. I'm excited to play it.
And what was the name of that again?
Drop Pockets.
Drop Pockets. Okay. Yeah, that sounds really
Yeah.
interesting.
It's better than the other one that I was watching. It's called Racoin. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
And it's one of those like, you know, those like games where you like,
Coin pusher.
yeah, coin pusher games.
Right.
But
yeah.
it's, I don't know.
Also
I
a
don't know.
roguelike.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't really like it as much, but yeah.
That is definitely a genre now of
Yep.
taking a very simple game and how can we complicate it with Balatro style rules.
Well, because of how popular Balatro was.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I would say the number of those games that have come along and the very few number of those that have actually sort of like caught on
Yeah.
Yeah.
and become popular, it's just further evidence of how good Balatro
Agreed.
is.
Agreed.
Like it's not just the concept of what they did, it's the execution
Absolutely.
of how they did it.
And Drop Pocket seems to be the one out of all the ones I've seen so far that is the closest to that. Because I've watched a few dice ones, like I said, the coin one, but yeah, this one seems pretty cool.
It sounds like it opens up for a lot of variety, right? Like a lot of mixing of the balls and the cues and
For sure.
the table and like how that interacts with each other.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing with a lot of those roguelikes is whether it be Balatro or Hades, right? You want to find some ways that like your items or bonuses like synergize with
Yeah.
one another.
Sure,
And
yeah.
it feels like with a pool, there's not a ton going on. Again, it's a very simple game, but there's enough elements of the game where you can see those different synergies working together.
Right.
and there's probably more than like one build path to success.
Right.
That's what I was about to say. Because like even the table itself can be like, obviously it changes with the pull shark, but you can also start with different ones. So like the very first one you start with makes it to where solid balls are worth more.
Right.
And so that changes. I haven't seen many folks play past that first table, so I don't know what else they have. But
It might only be a demo right now.
I know it was in demo, and I want to say it was released soon. But yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds really interesting. And I think, Balatro, that's like part of the secret of it is that there's enough like customization and variables at play.
Yeah, like the different decks and stuff.
Yeah, that's part of what makes that game simple enough because it's poker.
Yeah.
And everybody understands poker, but also enough variables at play to make it complex enough that you don't figure out how to mainline that game. Right? Like, I feel like sometimes those sorts of games, particularly on phones, let's say, when they're built as mobile games, you like figure out, oh, this is the main line through this pretty quick. Like, what is the best, what's the best method to play it? And, I think Hades is a good example of a game where you're like, oh, well, there's like actually, 20 different ways you can win at this game. Like, there's not one path through it. Or not even necessarily like one best path. It's like your style of play fits with. Okay, cool. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Mario.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the month, because I knew my prelims were probably going to be starting in October, I was like, let me find something bigger to play. I can spend the time in September to really play through it, get through it all the way. And I guess it only took a week and a half. But since our last episode that we recorded, which I guess was 2 Wednesdays ago, on that Friday, I started, and on this past Monday beat Expedition 33. So I put many hours into that game over those 10 days or whatever it was. And I'd like to give Donkey Kong Bonanza a shout out for being my game of the year for about a week before Expedition 33 ended up taking that over. That game is really good. It's really good. It's, I think, like there's nothing honestly that's even close to it in terms of what my game of the year will be.
What is it like? Or what I haven't heard.
This is the French RPG.
Yeah, it's an RPG.
I talked about it last spring.
Okay.
It's been referred to not a JRPG, but a JRPG.
Yes. Okay. This is the one. Okay.
Okay. That's one of those things where, like, I don't get all upset about the difference between an RPG and a JRPG, but like that would make me like. That'd make me want to give someone a swirly. Like, you deserve to get bullied for that.
Yeah, je suis kidding.
That's even worse. Get out of this room.
Okay. Clair Obscure Expedition 33.
Yeah.
Okay. I remembered it as Clair Obscure. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, it's really good. When it comes to RPG, combat tends to be a thing that I try to do as little as possible. I'm just hit the A button or the X button as many times as fast as I can to just get through the fight. And that's a game where I was seeking out fights. Like my path was to go to the right, but there's like an enemy just a little bit to the left. It would have been really easy to just avoid them and run past them. And I was just like, nope, I'm going to take this fight because the fighting is that good. There was like maybe one fight that I can think of that I didn't end up. There was an enemy, I saw them on the path, and I ended up just running past them. Yeah, that game, it's. I think that's a game that, we were just talking about with Balatro. That's a game that I think many games from this point forward will be emulating the real time strategy. I mean, like it's not the first game to ever do that. Obviously, right. We look at Paper Mario; it has a very similar sort of real time mechanic in its combat as well.
Even back to Mario RPG.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. But I think that more RPGs will probably be doing something similar.
this is an evolution of that. Like, we should be clear.
Yeah.
Like, this is not nearly as simple as those systems are. This is like, adding counter and parrying systems and things to, to turn-based combat, essentially.
I think the other thing about that game is its story is incredibly compelling. Yes. So it really does. It's just like kind of tens across the board. I've got like one smallish gripe with it, but that was really, it's how I ended up playing the game. But I also think that, I don't know, the complaint is slightly justified in the sense that I think other people would run into it as well. And it just has to do with the final fight can be underwhelming. So two of the characters end up fighting each other, and one of the characters I basically never used. So they were so far underleveled compared to the character I did use. Yeah. And it was just like, well, that wasn't really a fight at all. Yeah. The person like gained powerful, like a status effect to become stronger and still did like the smallest fraction of health. And so like that was slightly underwhelming, but I will play this game again, almost assuredly. It has multiple endings, or at least 2 endings. So I'll play it again for the second ending. I'll play it again to use different characters. But I struggle to think that anything will top this for me for Game of the Year. Because like beyond it being Game of the Year for me, it's like pretty high in terms of just like games I've played all time. Like I enjoyed it that much.
Wow.
Yeah, I think one of the issues with that game that really made it stand out for me was just the freshness of the story.
Sure.
Like, I think it's reductive to say like all JRPGs are the same anime story, because they're not, right? Like but I think having a different cultural take on the role-playing game story, right? Like really helps like give it a fresh new perspective. And so, I know playing through that game, I just felt like, oh, this just feels fresh. Like I don't, it's not fitting this. It's not fitting the the stock characters I expect.
Sure.
The like actions and the motivations and everything. Like everything feels like fresh with this, which is I think is a fair criticism of all like games, because like you could look at first person shooters, and yes, all first person shooters end up with basically the same story at some point. And I think anytime you can break free of that, I don't think it's just because it's French, but like I think, certainly having somebody else come at this well-worn genre from a very different perspective just made the whole thing feel like exciting.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it still has and, follows along the like established conventions, but twists them enough to make it feel fresh. I think that is a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
So a whole generation grew up on JRPGs. Next generation, the JRPG.
Yeah. I mean, look, we could even get into the discussion, is calling something a Japanese role-playing game inherently offensive. Like, have you read that whole discussion online?
I haven't.
Yeah. Because it becomes reductive about like Japanese games, right?
Okay.
Like there's this stereotype of like, well, this is a game and everything fits this. And particularly because people start using that term, right, to refer to all role-playing games of a certain style are Japanese, even when they're not made in Japan, right? Like, so like I get that. Like we were referred to this as a French-made Japanese role-playing game. That makes no sense.
Yeah, I think. Well, I guess that one was. What was it? Sea of Stars was a Japanese-made game, I believe.
I don't actually know,
or at least I think they got the Chrono Trigger composer. So
yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the development team was. The rest of the development team, at least. But anyways, That's one of those games. So I think
Secret of Evermore is an example of one.
You know, earlier this year when I had played through, what was the name of that game? The one that's like set in the American South, south of midnight. You know, I had said like, oh, you know, it's good. I think the story is worth experiencing. And, you know, if people have access to it, you know, even at the very least, just sort of play through it on story mode. The combat feels, and not to be, you know, again, sort of talk about it too negatively, felt pretty cookie cutter compared to all the others.
Right.
You know, this is one where I don't know. They do have a story mode and sort of your default difficulty. This is one where if the story mode changes the combat like dramatically, I would say you are doing yourself a disservice by not getting to play through that and experience it.
But I do think it's a game that you could get enjoyment just from the story.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like like I understand entirely what you're saying. It's not the sort of you know, a lot of this style of game has, you know, where you can turn down the encounter rate or something like that, right? Like this is not a game where you want to avoid the fighting for the most part.
This is the example I would tend to use are the Yakuza games. I think the Yakuza games have really good stories. Like I think that the narratives of those games are fun and they're silly and they're compelling. I think that this is equally, maybe not silly, but like it's a very compelling story and it's a story that's worth experiencing. The combat in Yakuza is also like, I don't really care all that much. I'm going to avoid the fights if I can. But this is one where I think you are missing out on some aspect of this game. And again, I would say like doing yourself a disservice in terms of the full experience of the game. I think if you want to go on YouTube and watch like the cutscene movie, you're still going to really enjoy it. But I would urge people to like actually get to play through it as well.
In that way, it sort of reminds me of something like Batman Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
That when that game came out, sort of character action games like that were so the God of War combo heavy, right? XX square or XX triangle, right? And they were kind of boring. And they weren't bad, but like, you know, I think of something like Dante's Inferno, where the combat is not why you come to that game.
Yeah.
And then Batman Arkham Asylum changed that. And, you know, Batman Arkham Asylum, I remember like just seeking out enemies so that I could fight with them. Because as soon as I got like a new ability or something, a new move I could do in combat, because that was like the fun of that game. Or if you were avoiding combat, it was because you were, you know, doing the stealth thing of dropping down, grabbing somebody. And this game sort of feels like that, in that it takes something that's usually a chore of this style of game, and it makes it something, you know, active and engaging.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a good comparison.
So, I mean, I think, you know, much like Batman Arkham Asylum, when you say games going forward are going to borrow from this, you know, every game after Batman Arkham Asylum for a long while was copying that combat, really until they started copying the Souls games.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I could see a lot of role-playing games borrowing this combat or variations of it going forward.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Anything else?
No.
I mean, that's a big game to tackle. That's not.
No, like I said, I think I
game.
put nearly like 40 hours into that game in that like 10-day stretch. So
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's see. I've played a few things, but some of them I'm not quite ready to talk about. But I did play a game called Hurdling. Not hurdling like the track and field event, but hurdling like herding things. And so in this game, you are herding these mythological beasts that look like a giant, like a cross between a woolly mammoth and a ram. So they are like an actual mythological animal. And the game is really interesting because it's borrowing like multiple aspects from different games. So there's a bit of journey in this, in that It is a very beautiful game, and it's the sort of game you can kind of lay back and relax as you're playing. It's not super combat heavy or something where you're having to be on the edge of your seat as you're playing it. And the vistas are often quite sort of breathtaking. And so it's a very pretty game to look at and relax while you're playing it. There's also a bit of Stray, the cat game, in that you're in this sort of, I would say, semi-post-apocalyptic world. You start off in a city and you're a little kid and apparently homeless in this city, like living on the streets. And you find these mythological beasts and you get this staff and you start herding them and directing them. And so you sort of have an access point that is sticking through the middle of your herd. And you can see it on screen and you sort of direct that, right? And so you're trying to like move them to the right, so you have to move far to the left in order to direct them over in the right direction and everything. And you are solving like some very basic, simple puzzles of, well, I get them through here and then I'm going to climb over this and come around and open the gate so they can come through. But you start off in this very sort of a post-apocalyptic city, very, very gray and black, very depressing environment. And then you very quickly escape from the city. No Sonic references without Alicia here, so I'll just go ahead and throw that in there. But you escape from the city, and then you're in this more wide open environment, and you are trying to collect and find other of these beasts to add to your herd. And it is a very beautiful game. It is a very relaxing game. It is a very chill game. I don't know if I'd call it cozy exactly, but it is like a very relaxing game to play. And it has fantastic music and everything in it. If you like that style of game, the sort of journey style of game, what was the Abzu, the underwater one they did? That was a different team, but like that whole sort of subgenre that has come up in the wake of Journey, I feel like this sort of fits into that really well, and I've enjoyed it. Like I don't know that it's like, it's not this amazing game that will blow your mind if you've played those other games, because it does follow that playbook in so many ways. But I do think this is a sort of game if you're sort of stressed, as we were talking about before we went on the air, and like how like life can get stressful, and certainly current events and different things going on can get stressful. It's really cool that this has become a subgenre that lots of people can like check out for a while and just do something really chill. And, there's some heart to it and everything that, will make you kind of just feel good while you're playing it. And
is this on Switch?
I don't know if it's on Switch. It is on...
Because I was looking at it, and like a lot of the stuff that I saw said Switch.
Okay.
And so I wasn't sure if that's where you played it or if it's on something else.
I played it on PC. So it's on PC and Xbox, and I assume PlayStation. But... Okay, so you saw it on Switch.
Yep.
Yeah. That does not surprise me. This seems like a game that would run probably pretty well on the Switch 1 even. Yeah. But definitely Switch 2.
Yeah, the pictures are really pretty.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those games like while you're as you're directing them, like a little trail of flowers grow up out of the ground with like the sort of path that you're directing them. You can pet these animals.
Okay,
so at any point when you first meet one, you can walk up and like pet it, and like you're not just petting on the head, but you're like rubbing under their chin and everything.
It looks like it's on everything.
Okay.
Yeah. It's one of those games that you kind of walk away from. You're like, oh, this didn't change my life, but it made me really happy while I was playing it. Right. Which I think, there's something to be said for that. I guess a game there's not as much gameplay as something like Stray. but like it does remind me quite a bit of that. But maybe even more so, Big Kitty Little City.
Oh yeah.
Which has some of those cozy vibes and everything to it. So yeah, recommend if you're looking for that style of game to play. All right, well, let's move on over into the news. And last night, when I was writing up this rundown, we had the rumored Nintendo Direct for this week, and that has now been confirmed. This Friday on the 12th, sadly not Friday the 13th, Nintendo will be doing a Nintendo Direct. They have announced that it will be 60 minutes long, which is their longest Nintendo Direct ever that was not introducing hardware. So the one they did this spring that introduced the Switch 2, that was actually in 62 minutes. So this is 2 minutes shorter, but like theoretically, they're not introducing any new hardware here.
Right.
We're not getting a Switch 3.
Get owned, nerds.
I'm glad I waited.
Man.
Well, maybe it's just like Switch 3 coming 2029, which would honestly be very short. But still.
Yeah, you had to think about that. You were like, oh, no, I said 2020. I should have said 2030 there.
You complain so much about how long it took us to announce the 2.
Now we're introducing a new one every 2 years. Deal with it. So 60 minutes focused on games theoretically. Like we might get something like an Alarmo, I suppose, during this.
Yeah.
But we're probably not getting whole new hardware out of this.
This isn't too surprising. I feel like we talked about this, that they're, get through the early stage of the release window, and then we'll start to say, like, here's maybe like the rest of year one, or even like, I don't know if they'd go to the end of next year, but like, here's up to next summer, right? In terms of like what you can expect. And
June of the launch date.
Yeah. In the sense of like, we talk about, Nintendo tends to do like one release a month, like first party release a month. Here's maybe not what those dates will be, but like here's what you can expect within the next year, because we don't have a ton of information in terms of like what is coming. We've got like the big games in terms of, obviously we had Mario Kart and Donkey Kong and Metroid Prime 4. But
we don't have a date for Metroid Prime 4, so we still don't know when that's coming out specifically.
That's all we got was 2025, right? So my guess is before the holidays. But
we talked about it last episode or a couple episodes ago that it did get rated by the ESRB. So that game is probably coming out fairly soon. I mean, we kind of have to get out this year, but like we still don't have a release date on that.
Yeah, my guess would be November to get it. I don't mean they probably won't do much of a Black Friday thing, but with Pokemon coming out in October, and I assume that Metroid will be a big holiday gift game.
But we do have the Hyrule Warriors game coming out. We do have. What's that? The Splatoon Raiders? Is that what it's called? Splatoon Raiders?
I remember that.
That's like the first, the single player Splatoon adventure game.
Okay.
So we have that coming out, though that may be early next year. And then they did introduce some Switch 1 games that would be coming out in the next year. Sure. So there is that Rhythm Heaven game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then the Tamagotchi Life. So, we do have some games to fill out that schedule, but a lot of those we don't have set dates for. We've seen those games maybe once, so we don't really, even something like Metroid Prime, we haven't gotten like a deep dive into what that game looks like.
Yeah. I think the thing that's maybe most exciting is, and there's no for sure that this is actually the case, my guess is the fact that, if the 3D Mario team had a big, if not the majority of the hand in making Donkey Kong, and, Tears of the Kingdom is not that old, this might kind of be the time for some of these smaller IPs to, get their time to shine. Maybe we see a new Star Fox. Maybe we do see a new F-Zero, or something brand new completely.
Yeah.
And so, that's exciting. I mean, obviously, whenever they announce a Mario or a Zelda, I'm always going to be excited for that. But, this might be a chance to get to see some of the smaller ones shine as well.
Yeah, I think your point is that we're probably not getting a 3D Mario or 3D Zelda in the next year.
Yeah.
That would be very surprising. Yeah.
And so, I mean, we do get, though, that secondary Zelda team.
Sure.
Right, that did Echoes of Wisdom. But even that was...
last year.
Yeah, last year.
November of last year, something like that.
We're probably not getting anything from them.
Again, would be very surprising. Unless they do another port. Right, where they don't have to build a game up from the ground
Wind
up.
Waker or something like
Sure,
that.
if they do the Wind Waker, Twilight Princess sort of combo thing that,
Right.
People are sort of dreaming of.
But probably not a whole new Zelda game.
Yeah.
Unless it's something like the Hyrule Warriors game that we are getting.
Yeah, or I was even thinking like the Link's Awakening one,
Right,
where it's
right.
they might have to do
remake.
the models and stuff like that. It might be like a true remake, but I don't know if, we're getting something brand new.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point that leaves it sort of wide open for Nintendo to introduce some new franchises or to bring up some of these sort of B or C tier franchises, right? When you talk about Star Fox or something like that.
Yeah, I think the one that I would not be surprised to see just because of how much love it's gotten in recent years is a new Fire Emblem. Because it's been at least 2 or 3 years since we got Engage. So,
and they do those regular remakes of the the older Fire Emblem games. So it could even be something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be one thing. There's a couple of very beloved ones that were only ever released in Japan. So if they were to do even just a full from the ground up remake or re-release of one of those, I think people would be pretty happy with stuff like that.
Yeah. We should note that, so that's Friday. Saturday, September 13th is the 40th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers. For the 35th anniversary, they pulled out all the stops. We got Super Mario 35. We got the Super Mario 3D World expansion, Bowser's Fury.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And so they actually did quite a bit for the 35th anniversary. Them timing this direct the day before that.
Yeah, we're going to see something.
Feels like we're going to get something of some magnitude Mario related.
For sure.
I guess the other one that just kind of came to mind when you said that would be maybe a new Mario Maker.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because we talked about that with the mouse feature.
Sure. Yeah.
Mario Maker feels like a game that
I
would
would love
fit
that.
this new system really well.
Though
And something that probably wouldn't overwhelm the Switch One, that you could still hybrid release.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do wonder about that. Where do you go with that? Because it feels like the only way to go with that after Mario Maker 2, they've done all the styles of 2D Mario games. So it would have to be moving into 3D Mario games.
Which definitely would be a pretty massive step. But it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think people could do some really cool stuff.
I mean, I feel like if you're going to do a Mario Maker 3, which I think they should, absolutely. But I feel like you have to have an argument about why you're doing it, right? Particularly because Mario Maker 2 did not set the world on fire like the first one did. I think it sold really well, but it sold really well to people like me who love the first one.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, okay, well, this is good, but it's not, the mechanics of building levels weren't the same without. And I think you're right that the mouse controls will fix that.
It's what we talked about with Mario Kart, right? We didn't really need a Mario Kart 9, but Mario Kart World is doing something different, and this one needs to do something different.
And I would say even on the back end of how you find levels, of making levels more discoverable, that's always been the biggest problem, to the point where people built outside websites to help you find levels and everything. anything that they can do to make it more community focused, which I know Nintendo's always terrified of. But like they sort of need to do that to justify why this game exists, I feel like.
Yeah, I think I think the only hard thing with doing the 3D is I feel like what would make the most sense would be Mario 64 style 3D. Just because it's simple enough that most people would be able to probably be able to make sense of it.
Right.
But I don't know if people would love that. If they might be like, well, I want something that's more Odyssey level depth or Odyssey level scale. And it's like, that's so much. Even like Sunshine level scale would be hard. I think it would be cool if people could make their own Sunshine inspired levels, or at least with like the flood mechanic. But I think it's just a big ask. Whereas I think at least Super Mario 64 would be manageable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you move into 3D, you are inherently going to exclude some of your audience. Like if the entire game was focused on that, right?
Oh, sure.
Like some of your audience is going to say, "Oh, I just can't do this." Like, I mean, I think there are people who can't visualize in 3D, right? And so building a 3D level is such a quantum leap more difficult than building a 2D level that I think some of the audience goes, oh, well, this is too hard for me, right? There's a reason Little Big Planet and Mario Maker are the game building games that have taken off because they're real simple for people to do. Not to say that's a bad idea. I think it'd be awesome if they did 3D Mario with it.
And the 3 is right there.
Right. Super Mario Maker 3D. Like you can see that like fading in. The D fades in after they announce the title, and then that's the one more thing at the end. I mean, I think that would be something cool they could do. I do question, like, do they do Super Mario Brothers 2, the USA version? That's one that they've always excluded because the physics wouldn't translate.
Yep.
But that would be something kind of interesting. I don't know. Like I feel like one of the rumors has been maybe a collection of the new Super Mario Brothers games. So you could take the DS and the 3DS ones. You could take the Wii one and kind of put those into a collection together. I don't know. Like I sort of don't want to know. I sort of want to be surprised.
Yeah.
I like Nintendo at their best when they come completely out of left field with something I couldn't ever think of.
Absolutely. But I think you are right in that the fact that this is the day before the anniversary, they got to talk about Mario a little bit.
Yeah.
One of the other things I've read is people talking about the film is coming out next year.
Okay.
So that it would make a lot of sense if This Is Me, where you debut the first teaser for that.
I think that's I would almost be willing to bet that would happen.
Yep.
This would make a lot of sense. And then you could do a teaser here and then do the trailer at the Game Awards.
Sure.
Yep.
And that would, that seems like really good marketing for that. So I think we'll see something Mario related. I mean, that seems like the easiest guess at a Nintendo Direct.
I wonder if Nintendo will talk about Mario at all.
But I think we'll see something, Super Mario Brothers focus, not Mario Golf. We may get something like a Mario Golf.
Mario Sports Collection would be sick.
Yeah.
So there have been rumors that they're working on a new Mario Baseball. Mario Sluggers. I forget what all those are called.
I don't think I played that one.
Yeah.
I played Mario Tennis a lot. I played Mario Golf a little bit.
But like one of the reasons that's been rumored is, well, you have right now, like the biggest player in baseball is Japanese. Wouldn't it make a whole lot of sense to make a Mario game where, you're bringing that into it and everything?
Or at least, building on the hype of Otani.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, and hopefully bringing like King Griffey back for it as well. Like for us old timers, like let King Griffey be like a character in the game as well. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll see something like that. I think the thing that makes me excited when they announced it was 60 minutes is you could see them doing a deep dive on something like Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think we will see something extended, not just a date, but like some extended look into the game.
I would think so as well. I would have said that originally for Air Riders, but the fact that got its own direct.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think, well, we didn't even mention Air Riders for their schedule for this year, right?
Yeah.
They still have that coming out. But I think the thing
is, sorry to cut you off. Is that definitely 2025?
Yeah, they dated that. That's October.
Oh, okay.
sometime.
I didn't realize they got a specific date.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me, but yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, because of 60 minutes, that's a lot of time. And so it seems almost, it's your longest one ever. That seems almost certain, as you noted, they're going to announce some new things for next year.
I would think so.
And I mean some Nintendo first party big releases, right? Now, they may not all be AAA titles, but like maybe something even on the scale of Advance Wars or, something like that, smaller games that would come out. Like it seems like almost assuredly we're going to get stuff like that during this.
Yeah, I was wondering, maybe something like an Animal Crossing, like as the like last really big thing, as like a very, very sort of like teasery type of thing, to not even like give a date or anything, like maybe 2026, but kind of hinting this might be late 2026. But I wonder if that potentially undermines or even like potentially cannibalizes the interest in that Tamagotchi life.
Yeah, I think that's a potential worry. But I also feel like Animal Crossing makes a whole lot of sense.
Might
for
be worth it.
fall next year.
Animal Crossing is going to sell systems, a ton of systems.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who played that last one during the pandemic who bought a Switch just to play that game.
We all know one person, Shelby, has literally told me, I'll wait till Animal Crossing comes out.
Yes.
Okay, I did not know that about Shelby, but
oh yeah, they have their Switch one was the Animal Crossing Switch. She has the whole Lego unit in her house that's Animal Crossing.
Scott has a Switch too, so they have a Switch too, but she's like, I will wait to get my own until Animal Crossing comes out.
I thought you were like, Scott's not allowed to switch to until
She's
Animal
forbidden
Crossing.
any Switch twos until Animal Crossing comes out.
Do not bring that filth into my house until...
So much so that she is trying to find something that scratches the Animal Crossing itch, and I think has been
Stardew Valley.
Well, she doesn't want to do combat. She doesn't want to go into the mine.
Yeah, she doesn't want
This has been a whole this has been a whole conversation. I've suggested Stardew Valley multiple times.
That's the game that a lot of people I know who are into Animal Crossing like get into real easy. I mean, I think that game makes a whole lot of sense. That's a big release next year.
Yeah.
And I would say next fall is when that hits.
And that to me, Animal Crossing is a sooner rather than later in terms of like when one will come out, in terms of like the lifespan.
Oh yeah. You want to, much like Mario Kart, you want to get that out early in the lifespan.
And maybe, I don't think I actually played what was it called? The one on the Switch, New Horizons. Yeah, I didn't play that one at all, but I don't know if they did a ton with it in terms of like DLC. And maybe that's just the time, if it wasn't the pandemic, maybe that game isn't as popular. And so they weren't even like planning on it, and they at least can know like, okay, if we're releasing Animal Crossing, we might need to plan out like a year of content in terms of like stuff to do.
That's the only reason I played it. And then I got obsessed with it, right?
Yeah.
The only DLC I know that was like major enough to like really comment on is when they added like swimsuits and you could go into the water, and that opened up like a whole new area for like to like get the little creatures.
Yeah, I could see them having like a whole like year-long like plan.
Like a season schedule.
Yes.
Yeah. Like a season pass type of thing.
Right, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
For
And they kind of did that, but like I said, the only one that was really worth mentioning is when they opened it up. But
Yeah, I mean, I think Nintendo is running into this problem, right, of DLC and supporting a game over a long period of time, which Nintendo, to their credit, has often done free, like adding additional things, new characters, new levels and stuff. But like, I think they learned with Mario Kart 8 specifically, that like people, will buy 100 tracks.
that or the Smash Bros characters.
The Smash Brothers characters, or I mean, I think like with, I think you're right about Animal Crossing. The idea that people would be playing this game, not for a year or two, but for the entire lifespan of the console.
yeah,
That I think Nintendo certainly knew that those games were popular, but that game skyrocketed it to a new level of popularity.
Yeah. Like, I think we even sort of used the metaphor. Like, I think Animal Crossing crossed into that A tier category of like Nintendo properties.
yeah.
I mean, just on sales alone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, if it was just Mario and Zelda beforehand, I think Animal Crossing has like
Agreed.
reached especially with like the most casual fan base
Sure.
in terms of people who play games, people who won't play Mario, people who won't play Zelda, but they'll play Animal Crossing.
Well, when you think of pure sales, right, it is Mario Kart, it is Pokemon, and it is Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I guess Pokemon would definitely be in that category as well.
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon games are selling 20 million copies.
Like in a week.
Like the popularity of that franchise is crazy, especially with how much the fans complain about it.
I think, I guess when I think of those A tier franchises, I'm thinking of the ones that will sell systems. Like if you put a game
And
out,
that's
people will buy.
Pokemon.
Yeah, people will buy the system just for that game.
Agreed.
I think 3D Mario would do that, a Zelda would do that, Pokemon, and I think Animal
Oh
Crossing.
yeah, because they had a whole system that was just the Animal Crossing version.
Right.
Yeah.
As much as like people like me would love to believe people would buy a Nintendo system to play a new Metroid, like the reality is no, like they're going to sell 3 to 4 million copies. Maybe this is the Metroid that breaks through, but like
Maybe.
Dread sold like around 4 million copies or just under.
Yeah. And the one reason why I would be skeptical if it does is because it's going to have 4 on the title of it, right? Like if people are like, oh, well, I haven't played the first 3.
Right.
That might be, well, I think that's one spot where Nintendo has kind of dropped the ball is that they haven't made 2 and 3 like widely available.
Yeah.
I guess you could put 2, release 1 and 2 on like the GameCube. What's it called?
The NSO.
Yeah. But
Nintendo Classic.
as a Wii game, 3 is going to be like hard to sort of play and make available. And so I do think Nintendo is that's been one falter, but they've been doing pretty well otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but every time, like you say, every time I start to think like, oh, well, Nintendo, you really screwed this one up. They're like, no, we sold 30 million copies.
Yeah,
We'll
we
be fine.
screwed up.
We'll sleep just fine.
Yeah. In our mansions. Like we're fine.
Look, we're going to make a new Metroid for you. Shut up. That's what you get.
And then Justin goes, thanks. And then just goes back to playing.
I mean, look, every time I think like Nintendo, you're making a mistake. Nintendo proves me wrong, right? Like, I mean, people love to point at Nintendo with something like the Wii U and go, oh, look they're so out of touch, they're so out of date. And then they turn that around. They take every game from that, port it over to the Switch and sell 20 million copies of it. Like, I mean, yes, they made a mistake. They fumbled, but then they always self-correct.
Yeah, they recover pretty well.
And they're more successful than you think they could or should be. And so, like, it's really hard to second guess them to some degree. Monday morning quarterbacking of Nintendo always seems like a losing proposition.
But we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's our job here.
yes, that's what we
At
get paid
Saluki
for.
Gamecast.
That's why Rebecca cuts us checks. But yeah, that'll be Friday of this week, so that's exciting. One thing that might show up as part of that direct, it is rumored that 6 of the RE Engine Resident Evil games are currently in development for the Switch 2. That is so RE Engine is the new Resident Evil engine that powers all of their modern games. So this would include the remakes of 2, 3, and 4 that they've put out in recent years. But this would also include 7, Village, and the upcoming Requiem, which is Village is 8 and Requiem is Resident Evil 9. This is still a rumor, but this seems like one of those sort of slam dunk things.
Oh, yeah.
If you told me they're going to port over Resident Evil 4, their most recent remake, to the Switch 2, a system powerful enough to handle it, why would you not? And so if you're going to port that one over, why not bring all of these over? That seems really logical.
Yeah.
And I think those will sell well. Those
They
are
will.
really good games.
Yeah.
Like particularly the remakes of 2 and 4 are fantastic.
Well, and that's just one of the, like I'm thinking about like my cousin mostly had Nintendo and then started to get Xbox like when he was in high school. And that was one of the things is like he always wanted to play like the Resident Evil games, but never, well, because most of his stuff was Nintendo and Nintendo doesn't do games like that, right?
And for a long time they didn't.
Right.
Like, I mean, for a long time, the like very AAA mature games didn't come over to Nintendo platforms.
Right.
And so, I mean, Resident Evil 4 began life on a Nintendo, on the, GameCube. And then got ported to everything else. And then this remake, it just sort of makes sense, right? To end back up on a Nintendo platform.
Yep.
Speaking of like those mature games, one that also got announced at like the Switch 2 hardware announcement was that new From Software game that's like Nintendo Switch 2 specific, or at least launching.
Dust something?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I think we would probably hear something more about that as well.
Yeah, because at one point, did they announce that it's coming this year?
I think it always said 2026.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to hear more about that.
Sorry, that just came to mind.
Yeah. Let's see. Xbox is set to have a live stream as part of Tokyo Game Show. The big rumor, and I think we talked about this on the last episode, is that they're going to introduce a new Forza Horizon. If you introduce the new Forza Horizon while in Japan at the Tokyo Game Show, it seems very likely that it is set in Japan. There was a story that came out that somebody was at a car museum taking photography of, I don't know the correct way to pronounce it, key cars, the little small Japanese cars. It's K cars, is the way it's pronounced. But somebody was taking photography of those cars, and they asked them what they were doing, or they posted on social media, and they were like, I think the museum posted and said, hey, we had these people here taking photographs for the next installment of the Forza series. And so everybody was like, you're taking pictures of cars that are specifically Japanese.
Yeah.
And now they're announcing the live stream at Tokyo Game Show. They also just announced that LG has some sort of system in cars where you can play Xbox on like the headrest, like video screens in some cars. So you start looking at it and you go, okay, we're going to announce something car related at the show.
The dots are basically overlapping with one another.
And, like you also just start to go, well, okay, we're doing another Forza Horizon game. Where would it be set at this point? Like last time it was surprising. They said in Mexico. That was really cool.
This will be number 5?
6?
6? Okay.
Was it?
I have no idea. So
I think 4 was in England and 5 was the Mexico one.
Okay.
I also have trouble keeping. I remember better where were they set than like which number
Sure,
was which.
that's fair.
How do y'all not remember this?
I have played for probably 10 minutes total.
I have not played at all, so I'm just messing with you.
I love the Forza Horizon games. It is the closest we are getting to like a big blockbuster arcade style racing game series. And I just love the environments of exploring the environments and everything.
Yeah, I think a big reason is just not having something to play them on that, at least like that I feel like would really capture the environment well. But now
one
I do,
of the
so.
best-selling PlayStation games this year was Forza Horizon 5. So, you know, I think even more so you look at this and go, okay, well, yes, not a lot of people are buying Xboxes in Japan, but a whole lot of people are buying PlayStations.
Yeah.
And this game almost assuredly will launch.
And people will buy Forza.
Yeah, they'll buy it on PlayStation, and Xbox is fine with that, right? And, you know, who knows? We might see, I don't know if we'll see this one, but, like, it wouldn't be crazy to think that there might be a Switch 2 port.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what we talked about, and I hadn't considered it, but it's a really good point that this is going to be playable on the Series S.
Right.
And if it's playable on the Series S, it should be playable on the Switch 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's been what developers have been saying, that the Switch 2 can approach the, you know, the abilities of a Series S. So, yeah, like I don't think it would be crazy to think that this might come to Switch 2.
Or at least similar to what you were just saying about people buying it on PlayStations. If Xbox can get it up and running on the Switch 2, why would they not put it there?
Yeah, it would definitely be super popular. I actually was reading online that people were saying it's still difficult in Japan to find a Switch 2 versus the US. I feel like you can walk into stores and find them on shelves now. Maybe not every time, but like on a more regular basis.
I know I've gone into like the local Walmart and seen them available.
But apparently they're still difficult to locate in Japan. So they seem to be doing well there is my point. Let's see. Machine Games has teased that they still want to do a Wolfenstein 3 to complete their new trilogy. This was part of a no-clip documentary, and they were kind of just talking to them about the Wolfenstein games, and they teased, you know, we still have story to tell. Obviously, they need to give us Mecha Hitler. Mecha Hitler was the boss of the original Wolfenstein, and they teased it in the second Wolfenstein game when Hitler is sort of like sickly and dying and souling himself. So the idea that they have set up Mecha Hitler, this seems like the obvious place you conclude this trilogy. And you've actually given a story reason why Mecha Hitler exists at this point. This excites me because I just think that second Wolfenstein game is an amazing game. That was the game that when it came out was, you know, it's the alternate history. So in the alternate history, Germany wins World War II. Germany has taken over the United States. And, you know, there's a scene in that game where you're walking around Roswell, New Mexico, sort of outside Area 51, but you're walking around in town, and the town has been taken over by Nazis and Ku Klux Klan members, and like you overhear a conversation between a Nazi and a KKK member, and the Nazis are like mocking the KKK members as rednecks and idiots. But like the game was prescient with the rise of like sort of fascism and like the way people would justify fascism. You know, it was very much taking that alternate history and using that as a prism to like look at this well before some of the fascism was going on. And so it's really cool to think what that game might look like today. a part 3 in that series. And that part 2 also just goes in some crazy, wild directions. So that's exciting to hear that they're interested in actually doing that. Nintendo has won a $2 million lawsuit against Ryan Daly, who was a modder selling modded Switches. My understanding is that Daly represented himself in this lawsuit. So this is a lesson not to represent yourself in court
among other things,
against a $1 billion corporation.
Right.
But also, this is Nintendo going after somebody selling modded Switches, right? Like Nintendo is very protective over their intellectual property, and like all these companies are very protective over particularly their current property, right? Like you're selling Switch mods right now so that you can play pirated games. That's very different than somebody who is selling the handheld that's going to let you load up PSP games and like play those. Not that Sony might not take legal action, but they seem to be less interested in fighting those battles.
Right.
Of course, Nintendo also went after the people who are making Switch emulators, that ran on PC and everything. So Nintendo is a very litigious company, so I would not cross Nintendo. Hollow Knight Silksong, none of us talked about it, but it did launch like as a miracle, a game that seemed like it would never come out. And its launch on the morning that it came out, which was, I guess, last Thursday that came out, it actually caused Steam and Xbox and PlayStation Network and the Nintendo eShop all to have problems. The game was so popular that it was actually taking down those or making them incredibly slow to process. So kind of wild to think that an indie game was that popular. They did sell it at only $20 when they could have easily sold that for $30 or $40 and people would have paid it.
It's on Game Pass, which I also thought was very surprising.
Wow, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, they made that deal, I think, like 2 years ago when they announced it was going to be on Game Pass, and Xbox started sort of like co-marketing the game and everything. But yeah, I mean, one of the biggest games of the year is going to be this little tiny indie game.
It always feels, it feels like that's kind of just a normal thing at this point, that there's always one that just kind of takes, this is not a surprise, but the way that, again, Balatro was last year, but
I think sometimes it's because they can more easily like go a lot further than our expectations of them. Like we expect the big games to be something, but
Sure.
like no one expected Balatro to like just come on and how easy it was, and like we've said earlier, like how well it does what it does. Like, yeah.
I think also like the smaller nature and the discoverability, and so this game I don't think anybody's discovering, but I think there are people who are probably picking up and playing this game because they've heard the hype around it. So in that way, I'd say there's some discoverability. Some people, I think Silksong is going to be their first Hollow Knight that they play.
I can see that.
But I think with indie games, there often is that discoverability, which extends the sort of discussion around the games so that not everybody is talking about the game the week it comes out and then never talking about it again. I think, you take Death Stranding 2. That game came out this year. But nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
So that's why I was thinking about it as compared to Expedition 33. It felt like the conversation around that game in many ways is still going. People are,
because there's a lot of people like you who are picking it up now for the first time.
For me it was like I have literally only heard good things about this game. Like I haven't heard anybody say anything negative, so I guess I should finally check it out. And whereas Death Stranding 2, it came out, I feel like I heard people say it was pretty good, and I haven't heard anything else about it.
Yeah, I think that surprise is very much a part of why these indie games have that long tail to them. Go ahead.
No, it's news not pertaining to this.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Not game related.
Yeah, it was what we were talking about right before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Roblox is going to start forcing an age check for all in-game communication by the end of the year.
That seems good. It seems probably too not too late,
exactly.
but late nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell, Roblox?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we've talked about this and sort of dragged them through the mud over it deservedly, and this seems like the bare minimum you can be doing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Roblox has just been I mean, we talked about it, I think, the last time this came up, which was, in one of the recent episodes, but you are a company that caters to minors. Like the people playing this is for the most part kids, right? I don't know too many adults really into Roblox, which is probably a good thing because they would be pedophiles. It sounds like if they were.
Well, that's why I'm like, why haven't you had this before now?
I think the flip side to that, though, is this sort of age verification, right, is coming to a lot of platforms, mostly due to like laws in Great Britain that have been passed and are, getting passed in states. So like Texas and Utah, I think, have it now for pornography. Yeah. Like if you're going to access a pornographic website, you have to do an age check. Yep. If that continues, the logical conclusion is that goes into video games.
For sure.
Right? And probably good with something like communication like this. Not so good when it comes to the content of games, as we talked about with Steam and GOG. Not GOG, itch.io.
Oh, yeah.
They're censoring of some games that they're making available.
Right.
But I think most people can probably agree with this. Like, if you have a game that mostly caters to kids, you should be protecting those kids in some form.
Yeah.
Jason Schreier, who's over at Bloomberg now, has reported that Take-Two tried to save the Perfect Dark game that was in development at Microsoft. They were going to publish it, but the deal eventually fell through, primarily due to the fact that they couldn't come to an agreement on who would own the franchise going forward. Obviously, if Take-Two is going to put up the money, then they probably want some stake if a sequel gets made at some point. That couldn't get worked out, and so the game just got canceled. The thing that I think is most interesting about this is there was a whole lot of speculation when that game got canceled that maybe that game was in such a state of disrepair that it just couldn't get released, right? That there was essentially no game there to be salvaged.
Yeah.
This makes it sound like Take-Two at least thought there was.
Yeah.
Which makes it even weirder that Microsoft canceled the game.
Yeah, honestly.
So I feel like we're going to hear at some point somewhere down the road, developers actually like spill the beans on that game.
Yeah.
Like what went wrong? What was the actual story about that game getting canceled? Because it seems like there's more going on there than we know so far. Let's see. Paramount is making a Call of Duty film, which is not the most exciting or surprising thing in the world. But my favorite part of this story is that apparently Steven Spielberg was talking to Activision at one point about making a Call of Duty film, but he wanted creative control. They would not agree to that, and so they went and sold the rights to Paramount instead. Which just seems like, hey, the guy who made Saving Private Ryan wants to take your military franchise and turn it into a movie, and you're like, no way, dude, we don't trust you.
Yep. What will you? We don't. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm nervous about this because of what was the series that
The Halo series?
Halo. Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't want to see John Halo's butt? Hear about his dog?
Listen, I didn't need to see the tush. So I have not watched it.
We should point out that OJ very much needed to see John Halo's butt.
When I said that queer people are not a monolith.
Sometimes for obvious reasons, sometimes for less obvious reasons.
Exactly. This is more obvious, I think.
Yeah, I mean, well, Halo was one of those franchises that at one point, maybe it was with Paramount, was in discussion to do a big budget theatrical film, and they could just never get it worked out. And that collapsed and ended up the television series, which nobody was happy with.
I think that, and if Call of Duty, I think, ends up making itself into a series as opposed to a film, like it seems like film is where it's going to go. But I want to say Spielberg was one of the people that was vocal about, like, well, I guess this doesn't matter. Because Paramount, to me, I think of Paramount Plus, not necessarily the movie thing. And I was like, if they release this on streaming platforms as opposed to, like, in the theater, I'm pretty sure Spielberg was one of the people that spoke out about those movies should not be considered for things like Oscars and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, Paramount was the company that released the Halo series. It was through their Showtime.
Oh, okay. I was getting mixed up between Paramount and Peacock.
Yes, I do too.
Is understandable. Peacock is NBC Universal.
Yes. Yeah.
It's also very understandable because Paramount just got sold. So,
okay.
Who owns it? Who?
Skydance owns it. Larry Ellison's son owns it now. Because Larry Ellison, actually, as of today, is the richest man in the world again.
Oh, all right.
Richer than Elon Musk.
Good for him.
Yeah, right?
Good for his son.
Yeah, right.
We can talk about the connection to video games because his daughter, I can't think of her first name, but she is the one behind Annapurna.
I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not on the podcast, maybe before or after.
I think we've talked about it briefly on the podcast at least.
I was just say that as soon as you started saying that, like, oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of her first name right now, but I can't actually think of the son's first name either. Ellison. But like basically Daddy has funded both of them. And Annapurna Interactive is both a film production company and a video game production company. So anyways, Paramount making a Call of Duty film. I don't know. Does that excite you at all? Like, there's part of me that looks at it and goes, it's just a big action film, big military action film. Like,
we get those.
What makes this unique other than Price and Soap are going to be in it?
I mean, I guess the only thing I'm surprised it took this long.
Sure.
Right? Like Call of Duty is one of the biggest game franchises of all time.
We'll look at some evidence
we'll
of that.
talk about that shortly. But I think that would be my one thing is that I'm surprised it took this long. Because even if it is run-of-the-mill action war movie, again, we get those all the time. So why not slap the Call of Duty name on it and say, hey, here's your Call of Duty movie.
I wonder, is this the film that you bring Michael Bay in for? And just say, make it stupid over the top?
Yeah.
Because
or just make it a Michael Bay film. You got to be nice about it. make it your thing.
We need your
I said
vision.
stupid over the top.
We need your vision
Well, that's what
for
I'm saying.
this
You can't shoot it at Michael Bay. Make it stupid
Sorry.
and over the top. You're good. You're just throwing bottles at me.
Yeah. How dare you?
Listen, I am making a lot of sense right now, and I will not.
Mario just like launched a water bottle across the table. Like it knocked it over and then like tried to grab it and like shot it like a rocket.
It started tipping and I tried to grab it and only made it worse. I was like, I don't want this to be super loud. And
So you probably heard it.
It wasn't even the loudness. It was like how it shot like a rocket straight for Christina.
Yeah.
That was pretty amazing.
I think mine and Mario's relationship is infamous by now on this podcast. I think people know. I bully him. He tries to kill me with a water bottle.
An empty water bottle.
But this isn't Ryan and OJ. It doesn't usually come to physical violence. The bullying is all psychological terror.
It's going to be an even bigger deal like in March when that's when both of our shows are like we're the double bill this year, and so our shows are it's going to be great. And his is about wrestling,
right?
Mine is about witches, kind of. So
I mean, I'm trying to think of witches wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's ever been a witch who wrestled.
It's saints, witches, and mad women.
I mean,
I've known a few mad women.
I mean, right now, the Wyatt Six, Abby the Witch, is one of the family members. So there you go.
There we go.
There's the crossover. Yep.
Yeah.
Anyways, Call of Duty is making a movie.
Look, we get off topic sometimes. It's okay. It's for our own sanity. Hopefully we bring you along and keep you safe. Keep your hands inside the car at all times.
Watch it if Mario picks up a water bottle, dude.
Take an eye out. I think going big and dumb with this is really the only way. Like this is, I think Steven Spielberg might have taken it in more interesting territory, but like this is not a franchise that they're going to be doing Oscar bait for.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Let's see. They showed off the first extended footage of 007 First Light. This is the new James Bond game from IOI Interactive, the people who did the Hitman series. And the game so far looks like a mix of sort of Hitman sandbox open levels and then more directed action levels. So there's levels where you're in a car chasing somebody. There's levels where it's like big action set pieces, but then there are these sort of quieter levels in between there that are more like the recent Hitman World of Assassination games that are going to let you kind of like figure your way out through the level. So it seems like an interesting compromise. I think seeing that footage made me think Hitman 3, where the final level is this sort of very directed level through a train as you're going from car to car, sort of like the classic GoldenEye level.
Yep.
Looking at this now, it sort of goes, oh, that was, and I kind of thought this at the time, but this was very much them kind of practicing with that level. Like, what would this look like in a more action-oriented direction?
Sure.
So that sort of makes sense. This game looks cool. I'm excited for it because I think those Hitman games are really fantastic.
Yeah, I'll look forward to this one.
Maybe not quite the legs on it that Hitman games had because there was so much replayability, but I guess we'll see. Mortal Kombat 2, the film, not the sequel to Mortal Kombat 1, the game, which is not the same as Mortal Kombat, the game. All of our crazy numbering these days. But anyways, the second Mortal Kombat film in this new series of Mortal Kombat films has been delayed 7 months. It was supposed to come out next month in October. It is now coming out May 15th, 2026. Warner Brothers claims this is setting it up to be more successful. I mean, pushing this game to May, or this film to May, excuse me, but pushing it to May, like, summer film season, I would say is probably a vote of confidence.
Yeah.
Like, why would you release this in the middle of the summer film season unless you think this is good and you think it will do well for you?
I mean, yeah, that is probably the most optimistic way to look at it, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we should say Warner Brothers has had the best year of any film studio. I mean, they released the Minecraft film. They released Sinners. They released Superman. They released weapons.
You never saw Minecraft. You don't get to talk about it.
Oh, I didn't talk about Minecraft. I didn't talk about it.
Minecraft is very successful financially.
Yeah, I have no doubt.
Not successful as a film in any way, but very successful financially.
Still, you didn't get to see it, so you don't get to talk about it.
I'm not.
You don't get to scoff
I
at the Minecraft movie.
I didn't.
You're acting like I didn't just see you.
I was celebrating.
I actually saw that actress getting interviewed the other day, Emma Meyer.
Yeah, well, I think she's in Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah.
She's in Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
But I saw her
yeah.
getting interviewed the other day, and it made me think of that film because I was like, she looks so much older in this interview. Like, she looks like she's in her 20s, not in a bad way, but like she looks like she's her actual age versus in that film where she's supposed to be playing in her 20s, and they made her look like she's 15.
Yeah.
And it kept bothering me because she's supposed to be playing the like older sister who's taking care of the little kid. And you're like, but you look like you're like a freshman. Yeah, so I'm interested to see what that film looks like when it comes out. I was not a huge fan of that first one, but it's also like probably about as successful as you could hope a Mortal Kombat film would be.
Yeah.
I still didn't like it as much as the original one from the
original
90s.
one was badass. It was so good.
But it was better than Armageddon, which is truly an atrocious film.
It really is.
Let's see. PlayStation is celebrating its 30th anniversary, and they published a best-selling games list. So we have that list of their top 20 games. They actually published two lists, one by dollars, so the amount of money the game has made, and one by units. So we'll look at the units because I think that's the more interesting way, like number of copies sold. And number one on that list, and I guess this isn't surprising because it's now been released on 3 different PlayStation consoles, is Grand Theft Auto 5. And number 2 behind that is Minecraft, which, you know, also should not be too surprising.
No. I'm actually surprised by number 3. Like,
I was as well.
Yeah. I really, like, I actually have never played or even watched. It's Red Dead Redemption 2, I guess I should say it. I played and watched the first one. I loved it. I wanted to pick up the second one, and then I just never did. And so with it being number 3, like, I was surprised to see that.
I think why it surprised me was I sort of think of Red Dead Redemption 2 as not as successful as Grand Theft Auto 5, which I guess this shows. It's third. But even still, like, to be that close in the entire history of
like
PlayStation.
On the same tier almost. Yeah.
That that's a pretty good sign that game was still crazy successful for them.
Well, and I think the big thing with both of those games really is how much the online just extended the lifespan of those games as well.
Agreed.
And Minecraft the same way, right?
Yep.
People play Minecraft by themselves, but I feel like the reason that game continues to sell is people are getting on servers and playing together.
Which is potentially, so number 4 is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Makes that maybe even more impressive considering there is no online component of that.
And particularly when you think of the era when that game came out, that was a PlayStation 2 game.
Yes.
When you look at this list, what you notice is most of the games on this list are, really from the last 2 console generations, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. We've talked about that before. Games sell much better now than they used to. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold more copies than Super Mario Brothers did, right? Which seems insane if you were around at the time when Super Mario Brothers came out to think that anything has ever outsold it. But then when you think about how many more people buy games today, not just because the population is bigger, but more people are into gaming.
Yeah.
Like it's not a niche hobby. It's not just for kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think your only 2 games that aren't from this generation, from like the last 2 generations, are San Andreas and Vice City. And I guess technically The Last of Us was a PlayStation 3 release, but
it's been re-released on each platform since then.
Same as Grand Theft Auto. That is a game that continues to live on.
Right. Yeah. Skyrim, sort of the same. It's been re-released on each new platform.
Skyrim is on here. I missed that
Yeah.
one.
It is on this side of units. It's not on the dollar side.
I guess the other one I would be unsure of is whenever Rainbow Six Siege came out.
I feel like that was PlayStation 4 when that came out.
There are so many of that's one of those franchises where I have no idea what game is what, because there's so many of them.
Well, some of these Call of Duty games, the exact order that these games have all been released in.
I guess for the people who are unable to look at this list, we're mentioning all of the games, and then basically everything else is Call of Duty.
Right. Yeah. I mean, one of the things I think is particularly interesting on this list is the number of games that are first-party games. So Marvel's Spider-Man came in at number 6. The Last of Us came in at 13. God of War, the 2018 game, came in at 14. That's the first one set in Norse mythology. But that's it.
And Miles Morales. Is it?
Oh, I skipped over Miles. Yeah, Miles Morales at number 12. Excuse me. So those are the only first-party games in the top 20. Which tells you, I think, a lot about the PlayStation, that PlayStation is a system. Like, you compare this to Nintendo. What are the best-selling games from the past 30 years on Nintendo platforms? And it is maybe Minecraft.
Mario.
Like, maybe Minecraft makes that
sure.
list. But outside of Minecraft, is anything that's not Nintendo made, that's not Mario, Pokemon?
Animal Crossing, probably the newest one. Yeah. No, I'd be willing to bet it's all, unless there's like some, I guess, Minecraft or some indie game, but I would be very surprised, because if it's an indie game, it would have been released on everything else.
Right.
But it's like, would something like a Hades, in terms of like the portability of the Switch, had like really boosted something like that, but not to that extent, would be my guess.
Right. I mean, Stardew Valley, I think, sold a lot on the Switch, but like it didn't sell. I don't think it sold anywhere near 10 million copies, which is, Luigi's Mansion 3 sold like 14 million copies, right? So,
and to put into context on the dollars, which of course is going to be more influenced by when it was released, just because games cost more nowadays.
Right. And also something like Minecraft that costs $20 falls from second place to seventh place when you factor in dollars.
Or you include something like Guitar Hero 3 where you're buying the peripheral as well.
Sure.
But 11 of those 20 are Call of Duty games.
Yeah. We do get some additional games in on this side. So like Marvel Spider-Man 2 comes in at 18 on the dollar side, which I think is interesting. We've kind of talked about it. Those Marvel games, those Spider-Man games, like there's a reason they keep churning those out and doing, like the remastered version for the PlayStation 5 is because those games sell incredibly well. And, there is, I think we talked about the rumor of the Wolverine trailer.
Oh, yeah.
That they have a Wolverine trailer. The rumor is that it is finished. So if they do a PlayStation, what do they call their shows? Not
State of Play?
State of Play, yes. That if they do one of those.
Showcase? One of the two.
Showcase is the big one. State of Play is the smaller one, I think. But if they do that, there's a rumor that this month they have a finished Wolverine trailer to show, and whether they'll show it here or at the Jeff Keighley event, the Game Awards, you kind of go, oh, well, that makes sense. Like, because you kind of want to continue that popularity of the Spider-Man games and have other Marvel characters you're doing that with. Wolverine's not as popular as Spider-Man, but he may be like the number 2 in the Marvel universe behind Spider-Man. Batman is probably bigger.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking of what others, especially in today's, maybe Iron Man, but I think Wolverine is definitely way up there.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought this was interesting. And of course, the Call of Duty games, you're selling 20 million copies a year. Of course, you're going to be up there on any list.
No, that's a cool list to look at. And it goes to show, when we're just talking about the Call of Duty movie, how much of a foothold Call of Duty has in the games industry. That is not. That is a franchise that is not going anywhere. I guess that's why
they felt like they could tell Steven Spielberg, you know what? Nah.
Yeah, I mean, they are thinking of the larger franchise, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're not thinking, if I made a video game and Steven Spielberg said, I want to make a movie of it, I would jump at that chance, right? Like, I mean, do you think the people who made Hurdling are like, Steven Spielberg's approaching them, they're going to say no?
Yeah.
But like Call of Duty, they are thinking of this as an intellectual property that is designed to milk money.
Yeah.
Right.
So Michael Bay would be a perfect. Doesn't have to have much substance.
I mean, you kind of don't want a lot of substance because you want this as an international release, right?
Yep.
You want this where people don't have to follow much of a plot.
Right.
That's not by the way, before somebody asks, that's not a crack on people from other countries. Big action films perform well internationally because the story is not difficult to translate.
Yeah.
So that is there is a reason why the small indie drama doesn't do as well internationally. It's not because international audiences don't like small indie dramas. It's they tend to like the small indie dramas that are in their native language.
So to say, there's a lot of cultural nuance that
sure.
maybe
Same reason comedies don't do well internationally.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this last bit of news here, this news actually broke right before we came in. Acclaim was doing their little video today, showcasing their upcoming lineup. This is the rebirth of Acclaim.
That's right.
Back into the game industry. So they actually had a video. This is not all the games, but I did get to scrub through that video and look at a few of the games that they were showcasing as part of that. These seem to be the ones that stood out to me personally. One of the first ones was a game called Hyper Yuki, which I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation for that, but this is a sort of cel-shaded SSX clone, and this looks an awful lot like SSX to the point that in the trailer they kept using the word tricky. So
I don't know what they're doing.
One of the most beloved entries is SSX Tricky. This is really exciting to me. I've wanted Electronic Arts, who owns the SSX franchise, to make a new one of those. And this looks like somebody's making a new SSX.
That's exciting, especially with, I mean, I don't know how successful it was, but we talked about this with Bomb Rush Cyberpunk and the Jet Set Radio connection to it. So the fact that another company probably saw that and SSX is one of those franchises that I think probably deserves something like that. People would love to see a spiritual successor to. So that's cool.
And not to downplay the enormity of tackling a game like that, but it is not like a big live service game, and it's not a huge open world game. This seems like the sort of game that a smaller team could tackle and pull off. So that game looked really cool. I was super excited as soon as I saw that. There was a game called Basketball Classics, which seems to be going for a very sort of, I don't know, 8-bit computer look, something sort of akin to the graphics, somewhere between the Dr. J versus Larry Bird game on Commodore 64 and Double Dribble on the NES, something in between there. They pitch it as arcade-style basketball with a very sort of stylized look. It looks interesting, but I don't know how much interest there actually is in this game. It is out today on Steam, so they did release it and said it's coming to consoles later. I'm interested in picking up and playing this game, but I don't know if this is the sort of arcade style basketball game people really want. Like this might appeal to somebody like me who's just looking at it and going, "Oh yeah, this looks like games of that era." But you know, I think we talked about it. The sort of NBA Jam style is, I think, the game that people really want to see come back. And Acclaim did publish those games back in the 16-bit days. They showed a game called Katana Knot. So this is a 2D side-scrolling game where you are looks like a samurai on a space station, and you are like slashing through aliens and everything. Yes, it is exactly that sort of game, right? It reminded me of what is their name? Deformer Digital. Again, their name.
Devolver Digital.
Devolver Digital. I'm getting their name wrong. It really looks like the sort of game they would have published. But it had a cool style to it. You know, it looks like one of those sort of 2D action games that might be a lot of fun. And then the last thing was Ground Zero Hero, which looks a bit like a mix between Toe Jam and Earl and Vampire Survivors. Just looking at the gameplay, I don't know how it actually plays.
Right.
Again, I'm looking at a few seconds from a trailer. But it has that sort of bright, colorful, kind of over-the-top look of a Toe Jam and Earl game, but seems to be roaming a free environment where you are upgrading your attacks as you go through it. So that was maybe one of the better-looking games that they showed off just because it has a very cartoonish style to it, so it kind of stood out. And they did show off some other things, but at least of what I saw, those were the ones that kind of really stood out.
This was today or yesterday?
Today.
Okay, cool.
It was
watch that.
Literally just ended before we came in here to record.
Very cool.
So that's why before we came in here, I was trying to look at it and see was there any big surprises or news that came out of that. But yeah, that Hyper Yuki game or Hyper Yuki game, I'm really excited. That's the one that came out of it that I was like, man, I really want to play that.
Very nice.
All right, that does it for the news. So let's move into our big question. And our big question this week was sent in by, is this correct? An Alicia? Alicia? I don't know how to pronounce this name. We'll say Alicia.
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, maybe.
We'll go with that. She says, longtime listener, first time caller. Anyways, she sent in our big question for this week. Thank you, Alicia. Is there a game that has endless replay or rewatch value for you? So, is there a game that you feel like you can always go back and replay or rewatch and get just as much of enjoyment out of now? Mario, why don't we start with you?
So, well, this might be cheating a little bit, but right now,
immediately, just cheats immediately.
I'm the ways that randomizers have really changed classic games. I think of the Ocarina of Time randomizer and how many times I've played through different iterations of that. But games as they currently exist, I think the two for me, and maybe this is because these are the games that have the most experience with speed running, are Celeste and Super Mario 64. And I think
that's on my list too.
It's the gameplay, the experience of playing that is just so enjoyable. The movement in particular that is so enjoyable that you could just go and run around in Mario 64 or the dashing through the world in Celeste that feels so satisfying that makes it replayable. The stories in games are oftentimes not the reason why I'm going back to them, even though sometimes those are my favorite things about games, but it's the way that movement in particular tends to feel is what brings me back to a game. And so those two, but the randomizer being another element of them.
I also had Mario 64 because I was thinking about sometimes when I'm having a hard time sleeping, I'll put on the speed run and that'll put me to sleep. But yeah, I also had Of course, Dead by Daylight, not DVD, but Dead by Daylight, because like the way that it changes.
Which DVD has endless rewatchability for it?
The spooky one.
I think it's okay to use the acronym after the first introduction. Let's go by AP rules here.
Okay. Dead D by B. Okay.
Well, now you're just making it confusing beyond.
Oh, okay. Well, the game that I always talk about. How about that? Because it changes so much. And I mean, this might not be that way forever, but I'm constantly watching it, even if I'm not playing it, just because of the new changes. Sometimes I do get kind of like, if I had someone that I played with more consistently, I think I would play it a lot more. But sometimes solo queuing, so like playing by myself, is difficult. But I'm always watching it. And then this summer, I like beat Diablo like 3 times.
The new one?
Yeah,
or
4.
did you go
Yeah,
back to-
Diablo 4.
okay.
Yeah, with like 3 different characters, and then I spent quite a bit of time just working on getting new loot, and then I spent quite a bit of time doing the side quests. And so a big game like that for me, I usually can go back to quite a few times, and then after it's been like it was with Diablo, after it's been like a year, I'll come back to it, and I can usually, be pretty good. But that one was good.
Yeah, I think both of you have hit upon like those games where the gameplay loop is so satisfying. Like it just feels fantastic.
Yeah.
Like both Mario 64, Celeste, those being games that it just feels amazing to like touch the controller. And that seems like obvious, but that's actually not true of every game. Like I like the original God of War games. They're entertaining and fun games, but like those games don't feel amazing.
Yeah, I don't.
Even though they're very good for their era and everything,
Sure.
right? But like when we look at something like a Celeste where you're like, yeah, this just feels, I like moving around in this world in the same way that, I would say something like Batman Arkham Asylum, we were talking about it earlier.
Yep.
But like going back into that game and like figuring out, well, how can I take out all of these enemies without alerting anyone?
Yeah.
Right. Just the feel of that, and
like-
that it works so well in that game.
You can like create your own little challenge
Yeah.
that
Right,
doesn't
right.
like require you to do something like play dramatically differently, but like you're able to add something of your own layer to the gameplay.
Well, like Celeste has those challenge rooms you enter,
Yeah.
and you have to like get through it without ever touching the ground. And then you can start playing the main part of the game trying to do that.
Sure.
Right? And it is often entirely possible to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wrote down a few things here. The Tony Hawk games,
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
are games I can just go back and I just like. I think those games do a really good job of. I'm not somebody who skateboards. Like I can stand on a skateboard. And maybe if somebody pushes me, I can roll down the driveway in a skateboard or on a skateboard. But, it feels like the joy that I have seen from people who, you go to the parking lot, you go to the skate park, and you just hang out and you just try different things and you just play around with it. And I think that game captures that really well. And so at any point I can go back and play that game, and I don't care anything about the objectives. It's just kind of fun to see like, okay, well, like, can I still get this run across the level, right? And can I do a variation? Can I insert a different trick into here and everything? And it's just kind of like a fun playground in the way. Another game I would talk about with that would be the Hitman games, particularly the World of Assassination games, where, again, you can sort of invent your own fun, right? Like, I need to kill this person. How am I going to do it? And, people have done that by like sort of making their own modifiers. You have to kill this enemy with this costume and using this weapon.
Yeah.
Right. And so they've done that with some of the DLC in that game and everything, some of the elusive targets, but like you can kind of create that for yourself within the game. So I think they do a really good job with that. And I would add, something like the Worms games. I've talked about those before being really fantastic multiplayer games. But I feel like those are multiplayer games where it really, I don't know, I get tired of first-person shooters after a while, but like those are games I feel like I can always go back to, and there's such an unpredictability, even in the ability of players to control what's happening on the screen. So, the number of times when you're playing a Worms game and somebody tries to throw a grenade and the grenade ricochets and lands back where they're standing, there's that sort of unpredictability that keeps it really fresh and fun. So I feel like, those games, particularly Worms Armageddon, and was it World Tour? I think it's the one right after that. Those games are sort of endless fun to me. They're over 20 years old at this point, but I could go back and play them and feel like 20 years from now, I could still play those games and have a lot of fun with them. But there's a lot of games. I mean, lots of sports games are replayable.
Yeah. Especially the arcade ones.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but like, I know I've talked about like the NFL Street games.
Sure.
The NBA Street games. Those ones, because there's so much to do in them and they're not the simulator like level, would be on my list as well.
Blitz and Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Those sorts of games, right? Like, yeah, I mean, I think one of the things about video games as an art form is the fact that there is that replayability, right? And there are books that people will reread over and over again, but I feel like there are far more video games that people say, oh, I will replay that over and over again, start to finish, versus, there's so many books out there. Most people aren't rereading the same book over and over again.
Well, that's why when I talk about, like, it often isn't the narrative. It's like I don't necessarily need to experience that again. When it comes to return really quickly to Expedition 33, sure, I'm going to play that because there are aspects of the narrative that I didn't get to see with the ending that I saw. There are also certain things, there's a lot of like side content that I didn't end up doing. But the reason I'm going to go back to that game is because of how much I enjoyed just actually playing the game. Yeah.
And I think there's a really fun, there's that incredible feeling you have sometimes in games. And I often talk about it with Zelda games, that feeling of solving a puzzle that you've been banging your head against the wall on, and it makes you feel like the smartest person in the world. And but it's also easy enough that like you aren't actually banging your head into the wall.
Yep.
Right? Like Nintendo balances that really well, and that's part of the charm and joy of playing a Zelda game. I think video games, when you first pick one up and it has that level of, this is just a joy to play. Like, I love the way this feels and it interacts with me, and I feel like this direct connection with this character in this world and everything. I feel like they are moving the way that my brain wants them to move, right? Even more so than I realize what I'm doing with my hands on the controller. I think that's an amazing experience, and it's something unique about video games that other media doesn't replicate.
Sure.
And it's why we come to it, to experience it.
For sure.
All right. That does it for this week. Thank you, Mario and Christina. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in. As always, you can check out more of our content, including past episodes, by going to salukigames.com. We are always looking for big question suggestions. So if, like Alacia, you have a suggestion, please feel free to email it to us at justin.young@siu.edu. But that does it for this week's episode. Until we talk to you next time, play something fun and stay safe out there.